All right, hello everyone. I'm going to make my trade recap for last week, May 5th. The week of May 5th. So here we have it. I alerted 6 out of 7. I alerted 7 trades, and 6 of those trades were profitable, and we hit on 6 of those trades. So overall, a really awesome week. But yeah, let's get into it. So first trade I took was on Monday, May 5th. I took some Tesla calls. So the reason I entered these, and I entered them mainly around, I want to say, this 8:55 area. I don't have my exact entry. Hold on. Okay, we got it down. Okay, so I entered Tesla calls, 285 calls. Once we were holding above 277, so I did end up taking these. I believe the exact time was around 9:40. So around like this candle right here. So as soon as, or yeah, 935. So as soon as we held up this 277 area, Tesla was looking for a bounce. Q's was pretty bullish as well. We ended up getting some nice upside move. I think I ended up exiting shortly after around this 279 area. But yeah, mostly exited most of my contracts for around 30%. So again, holding above 277, which was previous support, turned to resistance during the couple hours of market open. Then again, we held above that support, which was 277. But the reason was not just because we were holding above support. That's not going to work out for you. You need to see bullish volume. The rest of the market was continuing as well after we kind of, I guess, bottomed out, you would say. We kind of hit this bottom for that day. Overall bias was pretty bullish. So once again, caused me to take entry on Tesla and got out of most of my contracts around 30 to 40%. Okay. And then next trade, this was like alerted. I told everyone about the level. But I didn't exactly have time to alert it because I was traveling that day. So QQQ, this was later in the day. Tesla also ended up, retracing back down, but we basically reached this like 489 area on Qs. And I was noticing, some sellers were starting to come in, and not the fact that, maybe, okay, we'll get some chop for the rest of the day. This was mainly during power hour. I took this trade, but below this 487.90, we had a lot of room back down to at least 485. We ended up reaching down to like 484 area by like the end of the day. So that was pretty nice. But yeah, so I did end up taking entry once we held below 487.90. So I believe I entered like literally at 12:05. Like 12:05 or 12:15, and we just ended up getting a massive push down. Again, I didn't just enter this because we were holding below there. There was a very good chance we could have chopped through that, but also watching, futures, watching NQES, watching the rest of the market and how it was reacting to this. We were definitely getting some bearish movement during power hour, causing us to, get a good amount of downside, which is why I took entry. So I ended up exiting these contracts. So I entered them. I don't have my entry price. I believe I did about 50 or 60% on these QQQ puts. But yeah. And then the next trade that I ended up taking was Qs. I think I took Qs again. Nope, no, I didn't end up taking Qs that day. I actually took HIMS after their earnings the next day. So this was on May 6th. So obviously HIMS had some nice massive upside due to, earnings the previous day on May 5th after market close. So once we were starting to reach this 46.96, we obviously see some selling, some slowing down, less buying pressure. So around this candle right here, once we got this bearish candle. We're holding below. I ended up taking some puts. The exact contracts were 44 puts, targeting the 43.20 area. So we didn't exactly get down to 43.20, but I ended up exiting these around, I believe, like 45.20, 40, low 45 area. And then they started to move pretty quickly. I don't have the exact percentage, but I bought contracts around 145 and then sold most of them around 170 a contract. This was on the 1K account, so that account is up $200 after last week, which is pretty nice. But yeah, took these on the 1K account. Again, HIMS, we did, once again, we were touching this 46.70 area. We were rejecting it based on the fact that it was a pretty strong resistance point for HIMS, and then just took the downside move on there. Not a crazy trade, but still pretty good. And then I did also take another, so I did take Q that day. Okay, so May 6th still. Sold these for break even. So actually, all the trades that I alerted last week were winning trades besides this specific Q trade, which was break even. So honestly, not anything I'm mad at all. So yeah, entered 480 puts on Qs around 9:04, or maybe no, around 9. So around 9 I entered this because the exact, yeah, 480 puts. Okay, so exactly that we were holding below 482. We were starting to break below orb for the day, which was that 15-minute high and low of the first 15 minutes. So we were starting to break below there. And then we got a bullish news candle, but I ended up actually exiting these pretty shortly after because I saw just with the way we were moving, I was not liking my entry. I was not liking the setup, so I just exited them for break even. But yeah, and then let's see, the next trade called out. Oh, I didn't call out any trades on Wednesday because of FOMC, so nothing called out Wednesday. And then Thursday, let's see. Okay, 483 puts, 0 dated puts on the 8th, Thursday the 8th. So I entered these around 7 a.m. So somewhere around this candle right here. Yeah, okay, so the reason I ended up entering those 483 puts, I was trying to target the 484 area. So we were holding below my support level, that 485 support level, which is the reason I took entry on these contracts. But yeah, we did end up targeting lower 485, so not 484, but I was pretty quick to exit these. I think I exited them around 7:10 or so. Yeah, so I ended up selling most of my contracts around 30%. But again, I think my bias for this morning was more bearish until we ended up seeing a retracement back up and holding above that support level once again. But once we broke below it and held below it, that is exactly why I ended up entering puts. Kind of a scalp trade though, due to news and other, and Trump speaking, whatever. We got some more bullish volume due to that, but not a bad trade, around 30% on that one. And then I think, no, I didn't take any other trades. Sorry, guys. And then on Friday, we took some MSTR calls. Yeah, obviously in the morning, not after this. So entered MSTR 430 contracts once we started. I believe it was around like 640. I ended up entering these. Yeah, 640. So once we were holding 425 up is when I took entry, and then yeah, I ended up selling around like 650 or so. Let's see. Yeah, 655 is when I ended up exiting. So entered around 425, got about a $5 move on those. About a 50% to 60% gain on those contracts, so that was pretty nice. And then after that, obviously we were getting some downside as well. So I ended up targeting that on Qs. There are a lot of trades called out this week. I usually don't call out that many. Anyways, so Qs, I ended up calling out 488 zero dated contracts on Friday. This was the last trade. Obviously we're starting to get some major heavy downside. I was watching Orb low, so I was seeing if we were going to hold below this 489 area, and once we did, I entered those 488 puts for around $1.08 a con, and then ended up exiting them for almost $2 a contract. Those went up about 90%, and they were really, really quick. So this day though, we were when once we opened, we were choppy, slightly choppy. We weren't holding up. Well, we were holding inside a range. We weren't breaking out to the upside or the downside. But overall, my bias was pretty bearish for this day due to the fact that tariff news was, you know, super uncertain. Trump and tariffs extremely uncertain. No one really knew what was going to happen with that. So my bias was pretty bearish for this day. And as soon as we started holding below orb low, we were getting, some nice volume to the downside. NQES also was watching those. We were moving down as well. So I ended up, yeah, entering those puts on Qs. But yeah, so that was it for callouts this week. Called out 7 trades. 6 of them were in the green. One of them was break even. But if you want to learn more and want to learn about trading, make sure to join me in my community. It's linked in bio. But thank you everyone for listening.